I'd like to introduce Nathan to come over here and talk about how just help demystify some of the differences between retirement living and aged care, or if you're not even selling your house, how you could start getting some care options involved if the maintenance side of your house is too hard. But I know Dana will go into that care option for you. So if you'd like, this is a little bit more interactive, so if people have questions, please do remember Nathan is an expert in retirement living.
Right, thanks everyone for coming. So yeah, my name's Nathan, I work here at Sherwin-Rise. I do work for a company called Keyton. We have over 75 villages across Australia. So we have villages in South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. And we are all linked, so we do have people move from village to village and we can always help facilitate that process. But just with Glenn and Lincoln, what we're going to try and do is just put together a bit of a guide on those common misconceptions about what is retirement living. So I've got a couple here that I'll touch on. Please, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll try and answer them as best I can. Lincoln mentioned the move-in. How does that work? When do I buy? When do I move? I actually always recommend to come and purchase and what we call reserve your property prior to actually going onto the market. So what we will do is we allow people 120 days. So Ben mentioned his campaigns might be 30, 45, 60 or 90 days. We actually allow people 120 days from the time they reserve to the time they can move in. And we're also very flexible on that. If you're going to be a little bit longer, we can always accommodate. So I always find the best position to be in is to have your house ready to go on the market, but actually come and pick your unit, pick your villa that you like, reserve. You've done that part, you don't have to worry about buying. Go back, speak to Ben, speak to another real estate agent, and then start putting your house on the market and go through that process. All right, we can always accommodate and work towards your settlement date. It's a lot easier for us to adjust our vacant, empty house for you to move in than your buyer. So we want to be that easy link in that sort of whole moving process, okay? Up here I've got sort of the 5 little misconceptions that you do get in retirement living. So the first one here is the deferred management fee. Might have heard exit costs, something like that. They're all pretty similar. What it basically is, it is the fee that comes out when you go to exit the village. Every village is different. There might be a different percentage. What they are is typically the difference in the average costs of the suburb that you're buying in and the external area. So for example, if the median house price is $1 million, the retirement village might be 30% below that. And that's sort of in line with what your deferred management fee might be. That deferred fee, I always like to look at as a commitment as well to maintaining, upkeeping the village. It's the way that Keyton are always going to be here, just providing and improving as they go along. The I'm not ready for retirement living misconception. If you ask anybody in our village, do they wish they'd done it earlier? They will all say yes. The key is our average entry age is only 55. Our average age here at Sherwin-Rise is 72. You want to move in and make the most of everything that we provide here. Retirement living are great for community, security, just all those general connections. On average, across all main metrics, people in retirement villages are happier than people in the external community. Retirement villages are like nursing homes, probably the biggest misconception I think I get. We are completely independent, so there's no nurses here on staff. Some of our villages do have a service department. What they are is still very independent, but they just have some extra support available on site. But the most part, Keyton villages are 100% independent, okay? So in conjunction with maybe different aged care options or my aged care, you can bring services in, but the key thing is to remember you are living here independently and so is all your neighbours. The monthly service fee might be called a site fee, a maintenance fee, there's a few different names for it. Monthly service fee is basically the cost of the ongoing maintenance of the village as well as all the activities and staff. The key thing to note here is we don't actually make a profit off that figure. That is generally just how much it costs to run the village. If that fee is to increase, it's because we've brought something in and we can discuss that with you, okay? That fee does rise with CPI. Can't go above CPI unless it goes to a resident vote, okay? But I think the main thing to remember is we don't make any profit. That is just how much it costs to run the village, Also includes things like any emergency call systems that we have, your building insurance. So it's quite good. Every village is going to be different based on the services that they provide. And then last point there, the Retirement Villages Act. There are sort of two different types of retirement villages. So there's retirement living, I should say. There's ones that operate as a retirement village, and then there's also a land lease community. The two of them operate very differently. As a retirement villages, we are looked after under the Retirement Villages Act. So there's a bit more security involved in that. There's some limitations on entry and exit fees. For example, the monthly service fee that is non-profit, that is part of the Retirement Villages Act. So there's just a bit more government body involved in retirement villages. That's all the main 5 that we get, but happy to answer any questions that somebody might have on retirement living.
Just a set of comments. We're looking generally very closely at persons that say 55, looking to retire 60, but working longer. What are they actually looking at going forward? So you've got a family home, you could do a downscale to a smaller property, and then at some point look at moving into retirement living. I think a comment that you made, the misconception generally is retirement village living or living in your own home is completely independent living, and you're entitled to have access to home care, like aged care support. And you might like to comment the Acts of Parliament now and the change in my aged care is addressing that sort of issue, that's the life of a person from say 55 to could be pushing 100.
Yep.
And you comment about residential aged care, that's clearly not retirement living, and the amount of people in residential aged care is actually dropping.
Yeah, and look, the government definitely want to keep people in their homes, and our homes are designed to age in place. But if you are going to come and have a tour with me after this, you'll see that the homes are very generous. We go from 3-bedroom, 2-garage, villas. So they are quite big when you go inside. So they really do adjust. We have a lot of people that are still working. Therefore, when we do go in and build our new villas, we put in study nooks and things like that. So, yeah, they are over 55. A lot of people are still working. So we are trying to accommodate for everybody as we can. But, yeah, definitely so far from residential aged care, they really are, yeah.
If you buy into this complex, right, and you have to move into a more supported accommodation, who resells your home? Can Ben do it?
Ben can actually do it. That is your choice.
So you can get whoever you want to sell your home in a complex like this.
Absolutely, yeah. So you have the choice to go through to myself as a sales manager. You can use an external real estate agent. These are your home, and we want you to treat them as such. So even if we are selling them and there might be some reinstatement and refurbishment or whatever it might be, we're going to talk to you or your family throughout that whole process. Okay, so yeah, it's not just you move out and we take over completely. So we work with you.
I think, Ben, that's the big changes in the old contracts to new contracts. It's brought it under, correct me if I'm wrong, but more under the Real Estate Act, and there's now a retirement, the state-based Retirement Village Act regulates a lot of this space.
Yeah, I'm an ex-real estate agent. Our contracts are quite similar. There are some differences in how you sell because you are moving into a community. But for the most part, the whole selling process does operate very similarly to how you would sell a home in the residential space, yeah.
I do have one question. When you need to move out, particularly if you're going to residential aged care, is there anything under the Retirement Village Act in regard to timing or buyback, or when people need that money?
Yeah, the funds, of course.
For the residential.
Yeah, so I suppose one of the things about Keyton, which we're not going to typically get into today, but just to be aware of, is we do have a range of 6 different contract options. So there are different contracts that have different buyback periods. There's contracts where you just get a refund of your initial amount that you came in with, basically. There's options where you get 100% of the capital gain of your villa. There's options where you get 0% of your capital gain, and there's trade-offs within that. Typically, when you move to residential aged care, unless you're on one of those ones that have a quicker buyback, it's 2 years. I've never actually had someone get to that stage yet. Personally, we've always been able to sell their villa before that. We can pay sort of your RAD or your DAP, which is sort of the fees that you get in aged care. After 6 months, we can pay 85% of that. So we can help sort of bridge that gap, and that's part of the Retirement Villages Act. So a little bit of help that we can provide if you're moving into a residential aged care. Yeah, we can sort of help a little bit with that after the 6 months moving in.